Good morning, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I'm here today. What is today? February 26th, 2023, to talk about this week's astrological transits and to do readings and give you the angel's advice for traversing those transits. So, welcome to my channel. What I'm going to do today, let me start with a little bit of business. Good morning, Scarred Owl. It's great to see you in the room. These videos are based on whole sign Western astrology. So when I'm talking to a sign, I'm talking to your rising sign. To me, the rising sign is the perception. It's how I view the world. It's how I view my possibilities, my opportunities, and my obstacles. I also believe that the moon is the next most influential energy because we are emotional beings. We create on our emotional body what we believe about the possibilities of us receiving things. So I think the moon is super important. I would check that second. The sun, while it is a sense of our identity, it is also how others identify with us. So for me, this is sort of the third energy. And if you have a stellium in any one sign or house, that's personal planets, 3 or more, this indicates a soul's intention. So I would look at that as well, that sign, and I would listen to that reading. And then I would sort of put them together. Good morning, H. Good morning, Flamingo 2. Good morning, Stephen. It's wonderful to see you. Happy birthday, Pisces, by the way. Want to welcome you and wish you a happy birthday as Saturn is about to enter your first house. Woohoo! Good morning, CC Pups. Good morning, Small Wildflowers. Good morning, Stacy. Thank you. I wanted to talk about some things happening this week because the transits this week feel like they're in an interesting dynamic because I sort of want to talk to you about them as a story. I want to help you understand or to resonate with the idea that the planets are unearthing the most powerful part of you. So if something feels a little bit stressful or tense, it's probably unraveling or making sense of an old story. And when I say making sense, it's about extracting the wisdom from it. Good morning, Gita. It's good to see you. Good morning, Elizabeth. Good morning, Lapis Lady. It's great to see you all. Happy birthday, Stephen. I'm having my dental surgery on Wednesday, so keep good thoughts for me there. So far, so good with the way this last couple weeks have played out. But let's get on to the transits because, and I'm not really going to talk about times right now, but I will talk about dates. So if you are not in the Pacific time zone, please adjust for your location. This week, and the reason that I'm thinking I'm not going to talk about like these things as separate categories, because we have Mercury and Saturn in talks. Saturn is at the 29th degree of Aquarius in the last degree of its domicile, and it will not return to a domicile again for the next 27 years. So it's like Saturn is going on a soul journey. It's going on a journey back around the zodiac where it will rediscover the energies that it has not been involved with per se for the last 27 years. So this is very powerful because Mercury, while it zips around the zodiac much more quickly, this conversation to me has a lot to do with how do I think about things? Because I think what's happening as Saturn is about to enter Aquarius is that there are going to be experiences that you have that will bring up historic dynamics. And this is how I want to view it, because the other thing that's going on this week is Venus is going to be conjunct Jupiter at 11 degrees. Both will be conjunct Chiron at 13 degrees. This is a growing influence. And as this influence grows, we're going to look at our self-worth, our ability to make money, our ability to feel vital and beautiful in the world, to create beauty. And Saturn is moving into the sign of creativity, of song, of poetry, of photography and filmography and imagination and fantasy and whimsy. It's also in the sign of escapism. So here, what we're going to see is this dynamic where Mercury and Saturn are having this conversation about, how are you going to play this out, Mercury? What have you garnished? Are you still kind of in that human structure that says, I got to pound the pavement to make money, or I need other people's approval in order to feel like my ideas or my creations are viable? This week, I don't know if you guys noticed, but we got a little growth on this channel, which was very exciting for me to watch. And then I got to experience an imprint of mine that I was up until now not aware of. And this is why I want to talk about this as a collective. I want to talk about Venus, Jupiter, and Chiron having a conversation in the sign of the individual, in the sign of the brave one, in the sign of resentment, and anger as well. And Mercury and Saturn having this historic conversation about, how I was raised and what I think and where I'm going. And at the same time, the nodes are squaring Pluto, and they will continue to square Pluto. There'll be loose squares and then tighter squares, and it's all going to bring up historic dynamics that we get to go and review. So let me kind of give you where I was thinking about when I was talking about or referring to evolving spiritually. Okay, this is where I think this conversation is going. So this week, when the channel had some growth from some videos, I was very excited. And almost every person I tried to be excited with was not available, was grumpy, was not excited for me, or not that they didn't want to be. They just have their own agenda of things. Now, this was a bit of a dampening energy for me. It was a bit of I want someone to jump up and down and be all excited for me. And then I realized that the conversation between Jupiter and Venus and Chiron is, can you be excited for yourself? Can you sit in the energy of your own accomplishment, or do you need other people to applaud you in order to feel that accomplishment is worthwhile? And this was a big one for me. The other thing that's going on is Venus represents, our self-worth is money. And I think that we're all going to kind of look at or get this feeling this week about the idea of our money and our resources. And how are we creating resources? Are we in some ways holding ourselves to a small dynamic because we're dependent upon something else? This is where I think Pluto and the idea that Venus and Jupiter rules money as well. It rules good luck and expansion and wealth. So at the 11th degree, somewhere I'm reviewing how I receive my income and how I make my money and the viability of me enjoying making that money versus just having to, work somebody else's agenda in order for me to, make it to the weekend and just get my credit card bill paid. Because this whole Saturn moving into Pisces, and when we talk about spiritual mastery, I think it's about mastering the historic experiences that I've had. And are they relevant now? Have I not been evolving into a place where I understand the deep psychology of how I operate? And rather than criticizing that, or instead of finding, fault or regret within it, I realize that it is a journey, and I give myself the grace of the journey. Because I think that there's a lot that's going to come up about financial lack and about, am I worthy to create? And we're watching things go, everything, inflation, notices from the utility companies wanting to raise their prices, and the price of gas and the price of tomatoes and everything, so we could start to look at that and we could get very overwhelmed by it and we could feel diminished by it. So I think as Saturn is preparing to go next week on the same day as the full moon in Virgo, that we are being tasked this week as Mercury has that conversation with Saturn. And by Thursday, it's conjunct 29 degrees, meaning both Mercury and Saturn are at 29 degrees, which reduces down to an 11. Now we have on the first Venus, Jupiter, at the 11th degree conjunct? What do I believe about my self-worth? And am I dependent upon another dynamic, applauding that, supporting that, believing in that? Do I let somehow other people's response to my creativity move me forward, stop me? Am I self-propelled? And that's what Saturn is going to ask, especially when it comes to your creative endeavors and how you feel valued on this planet. So this conversation is taking us into March. And we all know that March is going to be a very, very huge month. And if you have not seen the videos I did about Saturn moving into Pisces and Pluto dipping its toe into Aquarius, please check out those videos. I did a lot of detail covering the spring and some dates. Well, thank you, H. I love me my General Hospital. Okay, so that's this is what I wanted to bring up too, because by Friday, Venus is going to be at 13 degrees, exact conjunction to Chiron, and Jupiter's now moved to 12 degrees. So I really want to bring up the idea that Jupiter is really asking what I believe of myself in the big philosophical ways. Am I being just and fair in my assessment of myself? Or do I inadvertently hold myself small? Do I inadvertently think that, well, I can make more money when I know this money is coming in, and then this money may not come in? Does this dampen this viability? This is what the intense conversation between Saturn and Mercury is going to be in the sign of Aquarius, your hopes and your dreams. And then Venus and Jupiter and Chiron are all going to be about, propelling yourself forward with what you find your talents and your skills are, and believing in yourself. Also, we have Mercury moving into Pisces on the 3rd. Again, these are on Pacific time, so if you're somewhere else in the world, please adjust. And that's going to be very interesting, because I think on some level that could be very dreamy for many people. It could be a good time for creating, for writing, for expressing. Oh, dear God, hold on a second. What are you doing? You are a little monster child right now. Pardonnez-moi, Lucky is having a spoiled dog moment where I give him this gourmet food and he doesn't want it. All he wants is TREATS's, and he's on strike. Aries, he has an Aries moon, and I would not be surprised if he had Jupiter, Venus, and Chiron conjunct his moon right now, because he's being a bit of a entitled little doggy. Okay, so let's go on to our readings. Let's start our readings. Good morning, Thibaut. Good morning, Dan. Nice to see you here. Yes, I wanted to see, how are you doing, Small? Is foggy up there? Okay. All right, guys, let's go into our readings. We are going to start with Pisces and move our way towards Aquarius. And that's because we like to start with the birthday month now, so everybody gets to have a turn to be first. I think my dog is mad at me. All right, let's see what your tarot card is. All right. For our Pisces, this could not be more appropriate, as this card, the 8 of Cups, represents a spiritual journey. It represents where there is balance to some extent, but it's not the balance that this character is looking for. So it's almost one of these very challenging energies, because everything looks okay, but this character is not fulfilled in some way. He is feeling pulled towards something deeper, something unknown. And I feel like the walking stick represents the spiritual journey of the heart. So, I talk a lot about Pluto being, having this heart shape from the you can see it from space. And I really believe that this is another dynamic where during this week, as Pluto is making increasing squares to the nodes, and it will square on the Scorpio Taurus axis, and it will continue to square when it moves on to the Aries Libra access. And this is really about digging deep into your codependence. If we think about Pluto, it rules other people's money. And oftentimes it's about where we've given up our power to another entity. And it can be monetarily, it can be sexually, it can be psychologically. So somewhere Pisces is being called to walk away from something that is not serving you. And or it has served you up until now, but it's no longer as beneficial as it had been. Apparently, again, this is not something that's terrible. It's actually something that still has a certain amount of balance, but it's not quite fulfilling this character. I will think about that, Linda. I'm having lots of ideas of things I want to do. In fact, I'm going to spend some time later today making a list. We've got a lot of transits happening, and then I want to kind of flesh out some of these concepts, because as I hear other, I'm just talking about Saturn entering Pisces and a spiritual journey of deep digging down where can a person applaud themselves, or do we really need other people to join the party in order to feel viability? Because I think most of us as humans want, when we get excited about something, we want other people to jump up and down. And this week, if I'm a co-creator and I'm willing to look at my life and how I'm co-creating, I kept co-creating people who weren't going to, no offense to you, Small, because I'm not talking about you, but my friends that I know in life that have known me my whole life. And they're like, kind of poo-pooing on my parade here. And this was where I was like, this is where I felt Saturn was asking me, in your history, do you allow other people's reaction to what gets you excited to dampen that excitement? And I have up until now. And I think that's an opportunity. So that's what I think is going on, Pisces, some sort of journey where you're individualizing yourself and your wants and your desires and your reaction to them. Okay, here we go. Let's see. The Eight of Cups is being joined by the angel Xana of protection. Then we have Daniel, the angel of marriage and history. We have Merlina. And then we have Rosetta. Venus does represent relationships. Jupiter in ancient times represents the husband, and Chiron represents the wound and the gift. One coin, two sides. So there could be an opportunity here with the Eight of Cups to not necessarily walk away from a physical situation, but to view it differently, because your ideologies have changed, your philosophies in life have shifted, or they're continuing to shift, or you're growing in some way. Xana is being joined by the dragon, which represents calm, power, and strength. Daniel's being joined by the serpent. Merlina's being joined by the love card, and Rosetta's being joined by the forgiveness card. Okay, so when I look at this, I feel as if what I was sort of mentioning earlier is kind of very much true for Pisces, because I feel as if, Pisces is a very empathetic sign. It's a very compassionate sign. It's a very mutable sign. And inadvertently, it can sort of chameleon into other people and lose sight of its own intentions and joys and what's important. Because I think right now that this Xana saying that you're being protected, and the power and strength card is about staying focused on what is most important to you, to continue the journey, even if it seems a bit arduous, because there is support, as evidenced by this guy's staff, by his stick, by his wand, for lack of a better term. Now I feel as if Daniel, while Daniel oftentimes will represent marriage, he represents history in relationships. And now the serpent is offering a shedding of a skin. And that goes right back to this here. And I don't know, some Pisces may actually, leave a relationship, but some of you may really be looking at things from a different point of view, because Merlina is here and there is the love card. And I don't necessarily think that on the face of this card, if you're familiar with the deck, it talks about confusion. But how do you have a wizard and all this balance here represented if there is confusion? The only confusion that might be is if you're masking the truth of what you love in your heart. Because in the final position is Rosetta, and this can mean a couple things. It can mean the conception of children, parenting of children. It can represent teaching children, but it also represents the inner child. And here we have the forgiveness card. I don't believe in forgiveness because the people in my life don't really apologize. They just sort of tell me to get over it. So what I've learned to do is reconcile a situation that I've found distasteful. And I've done that because I trust that I am being protected as I calmly and in some ways effortlessly continue to pursue what is important to me, what fills my cups up. Because I think this is really going to come up for view. So think about this. As Saturn enters your first house, Pisces, some astrologers may say you're going to feel old. Some may say you're going to feel a sense of restriction. And I think here is an opportunity for you to express your creativity, your spiritual practices, to review where you inadvertently escape through giving your power up to another person or the approval of another person, or you literally throw a dream away because you just give up on yourself in some way. And I think this is about persevering beyond that, because again, we have Mercury entering your house the 3rd of March. And I think this is an opportunity. Well, Mercury won't be there for that long. It's an opportunity to take advantage of your creativity. And if you're, for some reason, don't consider yourself creative as a Pisces, this might be an opportunity for you to implement some automatic writing or to meditate with a pad and paper and take notes with your meditation so you can start a conversation with your team from the other side. All right, let's go on to our Aries. Lots going on in Aries. It's amazing how I can put food down for my dog and he'll ignore the food and then he'll go sniffing all over the carpet for other things. What he's looking for, I really don't know. But I've created a monster of spoiledness when it comes to his food. And I just don't know whether to surrender to it or to just continue to try to be a disciplinarian and have him eat his breakfast. Okay. For our Aries, this is an interesting energy. It's Mars in Capricorn, also known as the 3 of Pentacles. Somewhere we're going to have an opportunity potentially this week. We see Mercury and Saturn in talks in the house of our networks, Aquarius. So there could be the potential of the beginnings of talks for some sort of cooperative endeavor. And we also know that Venus and Jupiter and Chiron are moving through your first house. So this, there could be an exasperation of the wound, but that exasperation would lead to an illumination. And that illumination may be that you want to work in an environment where you get to be creative. We look at this character, he appears to be either writing on the wall, drawing on the wall, he's creating something, but it does not look like he's, doing manual labor. It looks like it's something creative. So let's see what this is. I'm not saying manual labor isn't creative, but well, I think that's going to be, a little bit of an intention, Stephen. These planets, to me, even though we're seeing Mercury and Saturn over here in Aquarius, and we're seeing this conjunction in Aries, I feel like the whole wheel right now is having a huge conversation in general about digging deeper into what our truths are. And I think sometimes we don't really see them. When I literally said to one of my friends, I texted him and I said, I'm so excited. I feel like I just want to jump up and down. I want to talk to you. I want you to call and validate my hard work. And he just ghosted me. And I know he's not like mad at me. I know he's probably going through his own thing, but I was like, shoot. And it dampened me for a minute. And this is where I start to feel like this is how Spirit gives me these revelations, because I heard in my head, are you going to dampen your own excitement because somebody else didn't jump up and down. Doesn't mean it's not valid. So Aries, and I'm going to go back to, there's an opportunity for some sort of cooperative effort to come through. But again, this is a Capricorn energy. So there could be a cooperative effort where we're starting to build new structures that are more aligned to the Venus-Jupiter Chiron conjunction, as you recognize the potential wound is also the gift. Okay, here we go. Aries, our first angel is Rochelle, following your heart. The second is Bridget, looking deeper into a situation. The third is Indriel, and the final is Chantal. Rochelle is being joined by the Goblin. Bridget's being joined by the Water Fairy. Indriel's being joined by Merlin. And Chantal is being joined by the King. Okay, so this is where I want to say, because now as I look at this, Rochelle talks about following your heart. And the Goblin is about the wounded ego, but it's also about edging that voice out, the voice of your team, your heavenly team that is there and assigned to you throughout your life. You don't, whether you know it or not, you do not come into this space alone, and you will never be alone. But at the same time, this is kind of how I perceive Saturn, seeing a long-term picture and not giving into my short-term discomfort. So I want to offer it this way, because I think what we're seeing here between the ego might be telling you that your dreams can't come true, or every time you get some traction, something gets in your way. Chiron. Okay, the wound exasperated, expanded. This conjunction could make you feel a real lack of self-worth, a real lack of resources, an expansion of the wound that may feel like it will never heal. Because here is Bridget asking you to look deeper into your emotional body. And this is where I myself have had this experience this week, where I've gone up and down, feeling abundant, not feeling abundant, knowing I have like so many bills to pay in the next 7 days, and this unexpected expense with my teeth that has to be paid right then and there, and I could really get myself into a mind meld about it. But what I keep doing is going back to spirit and remembering that I am part of the divine source energy, and as I allow spirit to illuminate me, things will come back into balance. Because Chantal is the angel of love, of romance, and there is the King, which it could represent a relationship for some. But when we're talking about a large group of people, I think this is what Aries loves, and that it's just and fair for you to follow your heart and to find viability in that. One of the little challenges with the Aries energy is that it so wants to move quickly that sometimes it lacks follow through, because if it doesn't get immediate results or validation, or seeing that whatever the idea is, it can kind of move on to something new. And I think this is about sticking in a little bit deeper. Maybe this could even be a contract with your team, okay, because it is a 3, which represents the Trinity, and this character on the bench feels very human, and these characters down here feel a little bit like they represent the clergy. So I want to offer that, because your ego may be telling you there are no results. You don't see any results. You can't do it. Who knows? Nobody will like you. Don't worry about it, or worry about it, because nobody will like you. The Mercury-Saturn conjunction could really mess with your mind a little bit. But on the higher vibration of it, Saturn's going to ask Mercury, is this current or is this historic? Because if it's historic, it's time to look deeper and to allow the evolved version of yourself to be brave. All right. Aries, this is going to be a little bit of a continuing theme for you, because these Jupiter, Venus, and Chiron are hanging out for like the first couple weeks of March as well, I think, before Venus moves along her merry way. And even when Venus moves along her merry way, there is still Jupiter that represents my ideology, my philosophy, this expanded view, a broad view of my wound. And now in Aries, there is a call to being brave, to turn that wound into the gift and to get off of the resentment and the anger, whether it's viable, whether it's validated, whether it's true or false. If you've been hurt, is it now turning on you? And can you turn that around and give justice to what you love and allow that to be a karmic choice that starts to rewrite your soul's vibration? So you start drawing in more people that support and move your story forward. Okay, let's go on to our Tauruses. And while I shuffle, I'm just going to give you a little idea of what I believe karma is. Karma oftentimes is, they'll say karma is a bitch. What goes around comes around. And on some level, that may be true. But if we take the divine laws of the universe and we take the divine law of attraction, we will see that this idea of what goes around comes around, or karma, can end up being a loop in the human mind that won't let go of something. You've done me wrong. You've done me wrong. You've done me wrong. You need to pay. You need to pay. And inadvertently, we don't know whether that person will actually pay, but I believe that it's really, karma is really a series of choices. So oftentimes when we turn away from our anger or frustration and we allow it to transform into a tool that says, oh, I've felt this before, I'm going to move over here, then when we end up doing is getting the karmic reward of our choices, which have kicked in the law of attraction. We also kick in the law of attraction when we don't feel lucky, when we don't feel loved, when we feel poor, when we feel ugly, because we focus in on that, and inadvertently then we go looking for those things that to compare ourselves to or to validate our point of view. And this is what this whole period of time is about right now, is reviewing if our thoughts and our things are really aligned to the deeper truth, and if we can make new karmic choices to rewrite this experience. One of the things this week that I kept asking myself was that is any scarcity that I feel within, material resources, is that a fleeting moment, or is that a really deep belief that I must struggle? And I don't believe it's actually a deep belief. So I feel like there's this sort of tug between my inner knowing and my personality that doesn't actually see a big enough number in the bank to feel humanly secure. And yet at the same time, I have a history that I know that always brings in the resources when I need them. So I'm constantly being asked by my oversoul whether I'm going to trust a bigger knowing or whether I'm going to give into the human experience and my eyes. This to me is where karma kicks in, because the human going underneath the veil of what they think is solid makes karmic choices 90% of the time based on fear. And not fear that's happening right now, but fear of something that's going to happen in the future. It's why we have medical insurance. It's why we have car insurance. If you listen to the commercials on TV, probably wherever you are in the world, everything they're selling you is based on something that could happen to you. And now they don't even say could. They say when this happens to you. And we're starting as humans to be imprinted with that when, not an if, giving up our power into the law of attraction. And Pluto's working on that right now, because when Pluto moves into Aquarius, there will be a bit of a lack of emotion during that period of time. The victim-y energy that we can sometimes feel will be erupted by Pluto in Aquarius, and will be called forth to see a higher version of things. So it should be very, very interesting. Okay, Taurus. Thank you so much, Nina. Okay. Oh, Taurus. I'm a Taurus moon. I got to tell you, this works for me. Because I want to tell you this. I talk about this stuff And I am very good at a lot of these concepts, but I am not impervious to the human experience. I'm not impervious to the up and down roller coaster ride of feeling secure in these very interesting times. Because Taurus, you have the Four of Pentacles. This is very much an energy of feeling stuck. It's also an energy a bit of hoarding. If you look at this character, he is wearing the garb of a royal. He is also holding his material resources in a way that is very awkward. In fact, it doesn't allow him any movement. Now, your ruling planet Venus is in your 12th house. It is conjunct Jupiter and Chiron, and you could be having a really big moment about resources, because the 12th house is a house that feels like loss. There's a sense of invisibility there, and right now you could feel as if your resources are invisible. But I think this is about digging deeper. Let's get into our angel readings. My grandmother started my studies in astrology, and I didn't think about this until just recently, and I've been calling her forth to join me, and not to guide me, but to play with me in astrology, and to play with me when I do these videos. And when she was alive, she loved where I live. She loved this area. It's an art area. A lot of artists live here, and this was her nirvana. And so I recently have come to feel as if she really is here more than I've given her credit for. She used to love to smoke cigarettes, and I always thought it was my dad when I would smell cigarettes, but I'm wondering if it wasn't my grandmother. All right. So Taurus, our first angel is Mystique. The second is Bethany. The third is Bridget. And the final is Indriel. This is what I want to say too. You guys have been on this nodal axis, right? And here you are experiencing Pluto's square right now. And early degree Tauruses are feeling it the most now. We know that the nodes travel backwards from the rest of the planets. So as the North Node is transiting your first house, this is giving you an opportunity to really start to anchor in a deeper definition of, and when I say definition, I mean not digging into what you think you can create, but allowing yourself to dream a little bit more. Again, we're going to see, we're seeing this planetary activity with Venus and Jupiter and Chiron in your 12th house. And pretty soon we'll see the nodes move into your 12th and 6th house axis. So this is an opportunity to prepare for that time by allowing yourself to really dig deep about Venus rules the family history, it rules our self-confidence, it rules our perception of ourselves. And if for some reason you feel unseen, and it's highly possible, I can remember even when I was a little girl, I used to get teased by this kid in my carpool. And I remember coming home crying and my mom thinking it was kind of funny, and I didn't think it was funny. And it was an imprint, she must have thought it was ludicrous that I would cry over what this kid said, but her lack of empathy and her dismissal of my feelings stuck with me my whole life. There's something going on here. Venus, it rules you again. And the thing about it too is that it's a fixed sign, Taurus. So you're emotionally, when you get hurt, you remember it, and so I think you can reconcile it and forgive it, but oftentimes humans don't really apologize in a way that feels validating. So be mindful of that. Somebody lose somebody? Shannon? Oh, I'm sorry that your mom passed away. Oh, and your dad too. My goodness. That's not easy. Sending lots of love to you. All right, Taurus, joining Mystique and the Four of Pentacles is the Owl. Bethany is being joined by the Lady of the Lake. Bridget is being joined by the Frog. And Indriel's being joined by the Bee. Okay, I want to offer this. There is a difference between being a person who likes to reserve their resources and being a person who reserves them in scarcity. Because I want to offer this for my Tauruses. You're going to have Jupiter move into your first house in the middle of this year, and it's going to bring a lot of opportunities for you. So now I think this is a perfect time with Mercury and Saturn having this conversation, this 12th house activity of Venus and Jupiter and Chiron, for you to examine how you perceive money. And if inadvertently you are operating on scarcity more times than you're operating on abundance. And again, this is about digging deep, because the nodes are being squared by Pluto, and Pluto is going into the deep psychological. I mean, it can even be something like, I need to have an applause. I need someone to say I did a good job, for me to feel validated. And first I want to say, while it's not fun, like I think I applaud myself, but it's fun to have other people applaud you. And even if they can't do that, I feel like letting it dampen my own celebration would not be serving me, because Mystique is telling Taurus to keep charging ahead. This is a process card. There are miracles ahead, but you can't quite see them. And right now you're having to dig deep. I almost feel like I just saw Om, O-M. And maybe this is an opportunity to meditate so that you can feel more of Spirit's touch over you while you're walking through what may appear to be physical. A tightening of the belt is the way I want to put it, because Bethany is about self-care, and the Lady of the Lake is about a deeper truth. And I think what I would say for my Tauruses is that you have a tenacity, and you usually end up building more resources for yourself than maybe some of the other signs, and maybe you can start to trust that. The other thing about Taurus is that it's on this axis of using my skills versus the Scorpio energy, which is about, other people's money, financial investments and inheritances, and, places where we are supported by other people's resources. So here, this is about having the courage to believe in yourself beyond what you can see, rather than letting what is happening right now in your 12th house activity mess with your mind to the point where you abort your mission. Because you're having a real opportunity to dig deep and to let go of something from your old story, something from your family history where it has clipped you, or it has made you feel, the thing about those lower 7 houses is, the first house, you're kind of discovering yourself. And then if you think about it, as we discover our voice and we discover our movements, it is naturally our family that monitors those movements. If you're walking, if you're a toddler and you're near the corner of a coffee table, your mom could scoop in because you may hit yourself on the corner. So there could be this underbelly of looking outside myself for safety. And now I get to look to Spirit, because as I'm aware of my being energy, here's Indriel. And I think this is bringing bounty and good luck and preparing for Jupiter entering your house for a year plus, and being prepared to take advantage of that as you really sit in this place of trusting a little bit more of your own tenacity, your own ability. And again, I got to tell you, practicing what I preach is not always easy. I've been spending the last week telling myself, okay, something feels like it's a little bit off. And some of the resources I was anticipating for all this stuff that's coming up next week have kind of been put on hold, and it could trigger me. But I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going to stay in the moment. I'm going to take one thing at a time. I'm going to make an intention to set a being energy that inspires others' cooperation. Second Saturn return. Welcome to the club, Dan. I got to tell you, my second Saturn return didn't feel that hard on me. I think there were some things. My Saturn return is in my 10th house, so I feel like Saturn was really asking me to be authentic to my voice, to how I perceive things. And I think I had a lot of trepidation about that, because astrology has its systems and how it rolls, and Saturn is this and Jupiter is that and Pluto is this. And without realizing it, the humans have boxed in these planets and not allowed for their own personal evolution. You don't often hear astrologers talk about Saturn ruling the golden age and how much bounty he brought to humanity and how many tools he gave humanity. So we don't talk about that stuff because people are fear-based and they don't mean to be. They've been trained that way and imprinted that way. All right, Gemini, let's go. What's your tarot card today? Temperance. This is really a card of balance. And it's a balance because I have an awareness of the ebb and the flow of things. And I'm a bit light-footed here. I want to say that. There also feels as if there could be an inspiration coming as I look at Archangel Gabriel. And on this particular card, the wings are red in hue, which references the base chakra. And to me, there's like an illumination about your security that's coming. And if you're willing to follow the yellow brick road, something is coming that would feel very magical and a bit, I feel like that's the crown of bounty in some ways. So let's see where we're going with this, because Mars has been traversing your first house. And I think it's really been, forever. I mean, literally going into next month, that's 7 months, and then Mars is going to move into Cancer. So during this period of time, I think there's a real opportunity for you to see how you assert yourself, and if for some reason, if you're hanging on to any anger and resentment, is that dominating your movement forward? Because, Mars being the hero sometimes is a thankless job, and oftentimes, again, humans pigeonhole this energy, and oftentimes Aries is warrior, and it's anger, and it's resentment, and it's unforgiveness, and it's aggression, and it's harsh. But there is this opportunity to again see yourself, acknowledge yourself, having Jupiter and Venus and Chiron all in this house of Aries, and be a little bit more, because the ruler of what is Aries, your I need to think backwards now. It must be your 11th house. If it's Taurus's 12th house. So this is about really digging deeper into your hopes and your dreams, and how much am I giving life to them being viable, and that spirit will bring evidence and clues and inspirations that will take me down this road. Nina, I'm so sorry to hear that your mom passed away. Oh my goodness, that seems so beautiful, to be communing with God and the angels, and then to have herself leave in such a way that she doesn't, cardiac arrest, while it seems difficult, it's really the quickest way. You kind of just shoot out of your body. So sending lots of love. I don't know, Nina, but I bet your mom is already giving you signs. Pay attention, because I feel like her soul is very light and will want to give you signs that she's okay. All righty, let's go on to our reading for Gemini. Our tarot card is Temperance. So this is about balance. 1 foot on the solid ground and 1 foot in your emotional body, to listen to and to trust that. Okay. Our first angel is Merlina. The second is Archangel Raphael. The third is Ariel. And the final is Oceana. When I'm reading this, I think it's, on some level, I can say it's sad that your mom passed, but the way that it happened is so incredibly beautiful that I feel like she's such a lucky lady, because I don't believe we really die. So she's just transitioned to the other side. Oh, so gorgeous. The way I wish that would happen to me like that when my time comes. Or some reasonable facsimile thereof. Gemini, Merlina is being joined by Merlin. Ooh, 2 magicians. Raphael is being joined by the Perception card, Archangel Raphael. Ariel is being joined by the Water Fairy. And Oceana is being joined by the Protection card. We've got a lot of water going on here, with Temperance representing this balance. Merlina representing balance as well. Merlina and Merlin. There's alchemy, justice, and balance afoot. but I want to offer it this way because I feel like this could very well be a little bit about this conversation that Mercury and Saturn are having. Because while they will be conjunct on Thursday, Mercury is creeping towards Saturn and will continue to have the conversation as it moves into Pisces. So this is really about, am I going to take my story with me? Am I going to take my history with me? Am I going to take my history maybe of going back and forth and being unsure? Because I think that Archangel Raphael is offering you a balancing of your perception as you start to trust your emotional, intuitive body more than you trust what you see in the physical world. Because in the final position is Oceana, which is again an emotional energy, and in being in touch with your intuitive body. There's the protection card. The protection is a 38, so you're mindful of your energies and of your thoughts. Because I want to say this, I had, so many different thoughts up and down this week. And when I was having challenging thoughts, I said to Spirit, I noticed this challenging thought. And in noticing that challenging thought is not serving me, I'm already reconciling it and recalibrating it. Because this is about following your soul's yearning into a new platform. And I feel like a lot of that is what's been going on with having Mars transiting your first house, Gemini, like almost stoking up these challenging conversations. Because if for some reason you're being dutiful to something and it's no longer serving your happiness, or you're drained, or you're feeling stressed out, it's a time to implement balance. So that's really where I'm going with this. I think it's super important. Okay. Oh, Herbie the Love Bug. I loved that movie. I wonder what I would think about it if I saw it now. Dean Jones, exactly. Oh, I'm so glad, Nina, that you got to have this experience. I think, this is where we can really see Spirit's hand because we all are going to cross. And frankly, when our time comes, we're happy to cross because there's a part of us that knows that we can come back again, and this time with more wisdom. So, hey, Lucy Rose, welcome to the room. Okay, we're going on to our Cancers. Rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Those of you that are late born Cancers, you're going to feel an opposition to Pluto. Continuing on, it will let up in 2024, but you'll get these last few months of 2023 to really reconstruct the things that you want and the things that you love. Okay, hey, Courtney, welcome. I'm glad you slept. Cancer. This is a card of celebration. Yes, it is indeed, and harvest, but it is also a card that represents the evolution of the female energy, going from the innocent, the naive, the virgin, and then we are feeling the parental, the maternal, and then we are feeling the wisdom of the I don't want to use the word crone. I want to use the word evolved, the seasoned energy of the woman who is less reactionary here. And I think that there is something here where this might be part of Pluto's influence on Cancer, as it has been opposing Cancer since it entered Capricorn. And I believe that part of that is to embrace this Cancer and Pisces, to me are very overly nurturing sometimes, to the point of their own detriment. And then there can be this period where when you're not feeling reciprocal energy, that you can get upset and feel a sense of resentment. And I feel like this Three of Cups, the three is the Trinity. This is the wisdom of self-care. This is knowing that as you put some of your wants and desires first, and you don't constantly put other people's desires. The mom that, no offense to moms everywhere, but the mom that while their kid is at school, you're still running all over the place, like getting them this because they need this and they need that, and then you haven't eaten all day. Right? Stopping and just making sure you give yourself sustenance and to replenish yourself. There's something to be harvested that's coming up. And I think that with Cancer, the Aries energy squares you by nature, okay? And so here, I think that maybe the square to your sign with Venus and Jupiter and Chiron going on this week will be an opportunity for you to see the wisdom of self-care, of giving yourself an opportunity to do something nice for yourself and celebrate yourself so that you have more in the tank to give to others. Because when Mars moves into this isn't going to happen until the end of March, but when Mars moves into your first house, I think there's going to be a bit of a come to bravery moment, a real asking to be courageous about what's important to you. Okay, here we go. Our first angel for Cancer rising is Rosetta. The second is Indriel. The third is Maya. And the final is Ariel. Okay, here we go. Rosetta's being joined by the protection card. Indriel's being joined by Merlin. Maya's being joined by the horse. And Ariel is being joined by the butterfly. Oftentimes, Rosetta represents children, literally little humans. But when I do these weeklies, I really am addressing you as individuals. So here for my Cancers, I want to offer this, that the Three of Cups is a cup of celebration, but it's also celebrating your own awareness of your growth, your evolution. When we're young, everything is life and death. Oh my God, he didn't call me. Oh my God, this didn't happen. And then as we get older, we understand that maybe there's something better waiting for us, because here is Rosetta representing the inner child and that it's protected. But it could also be, for those of you that are of childbearing years, an opportunity to know that if you want to be a parent, you want to bring in a child, or you want to bring in another child, relax, think about the transits, think about the idea of, a baby being born with some of these really tough transits. So there may be a little bit of a moment here. And as you surrender to the soul of the child is also working in cooperation with you, because Merlin is bringing in something magical, something just, something balanced. And there's Indriel, the light worker. And when I see Indriel, I don't think that you're a light worker. I think it's spirit giving you an epiphany. And that epiphany is that you're learning something about your ideology. You're learning something about deciphering between what other humans tell you about what you want, what you need, what is viable for you, including what your body can do and not do. And I think that this connection to spirit is giving you an opportunity to feel a sense of strength and a sense of inner calm that maybe you have not felt for years. Because Pluto here now is about digging deep into your heart and allowing for the transformation of and the decay of any out of balance relationships or dynamics where I've given my power up. And here we see a blossoming. We see coming from the caterpillar and becoming the butterfly. And it is directly related to the wisdom that you have garnished as you have connected deeper and deeper to your own spiritual journey. And in that spiritual journey, I want to offer this. There is no punishment. There is no universe bringing lessons into your life. There is simply an awareness of focus and thought, and the universe is like this computer. If I want to be on YouTube, I better type in the right address, because otherwise it's going to take me somewhere else. So as you're aware of your own evolution and you celebrate the awareness of that, then I believe you have the opportunity not only to bring potentially children into the world, but to get the teaching job that you want, to work with children that you want, to be aware of the inner child that lives dominantly within you, okay? The child that's always saying, I want to have more fun. I want to enjoy things. And now you're seeing the wisdom of that. This earth plane was never designed for humans to be productive. It was designed for humans to be creative. And somewhere along the line, the rules got muddied. And I wouldn't be surprised if that started with the very first caveman or woman that had the most resources. I will give you this if you do that. And hence the human journey of disempowerment began. Now we're rewriting that story, especially when Pluto goes into Aquarius. Okay. Let's talk to our Leos now. Wow, CJD, it was really storming here. I still have you. I don't know if you can see, but I have things knocked over from the storm. It was blowing so bad the other night that I called up my neighbors. They're like, "Are you scared? Do you want to come stay up with us?" I'm like, "No, I'm fine," but it was kind of scary. Okay, Leo. Ooh, this is a fun energy. This is the energy of victory. This character has been to battle and now he celebrates. And when I see this, I really think of the wands as very creative, passion. I see the fire signs here. And let's see if there isn't something here that may indicate that Leo is wanting to birth a new passion or to foster more energy into an existing passion. And now you're feeling a sense of victory or confidence. When I see the red robe, I feel like this is my base chakra. And this gentleman, it feels like he feels victorious down to his base, to his core. So let's see what the tarot cards want to say for Leo. And it must be a relief to have Saturn leaving your, opposing your sign. Sayonara. See you later. Bye-bye. Saturn's not easy at first. It really isn't. I talk to Saturn a lot. I feel like of all the planets, Saturn and I have the most palatable relationship. I don't know why. It's not the ruler of my chart, but okay. Leo. Ooh, Chantal, the angel of romance. Venus is going to be retrograde in your sign this year. Wow. So there'll be lots of energy there with Venus in Leo. We'll talk about that later. I'll do a video on that. Astera is saying, reach for the stars with your dreams and desires. Vanessa is asking if you have faith or if you're fearful. And Celeste is offering lots of things, potential new jobs, potential new homes, but absolutely an opportunity to shift your thinking, align your thoughts. All right, here we go. Chantal is being joined by the High Priestess. Astera's being joined by the Frog. Vanessa's being joined by the Wind Fairy. And Celeste is being joined by the Wealth card. Okay, so here I'm going to say that I think this is about Leo and not necessarily about the love of another person right now, but I'm going to the idea that Venus, this week, Venus is trining your sign, okay? And we've got Venus, Jupiter, and Chiron all in Aries, giving you an opportunity to really dig deep. And the digging the deep is like, even if there's a wound that was valid at one point, are you taking it into the future? Are you bringing it into your present? Or will you allow it to be transformed into a staircase to lift you up? Because intuitively, I think you're starting to get these feelings about the things that you love. And I want to offer it this way. With Venus here, it's like about your self-worth, about the viability and the probabilities of what you want moving forward in the world. Having Pluto hitting the nodes right now is, for everybody, regardless of the aspect, is digging deep into old karmic patterns of giving up our power. And then with the North Node in Taurus, it's asking us to stretch good and hard for what is sustainable, buildable, that what am I willing to plow through? And now I feel like this is your victory comes because you trust this inner knowing that's saying, yes, things are coming. Because the frog also represents good luck as well as the cleaning of my emotional baggage. And I never think I'm releasing anything emotionally. I always feel that that's not possible. I'm a Taurus moon. Now we're on Leo right now, but it's a fixed sign. So I want to offer this as an opportunity to really reconcile again as you reach further and further to the stars with your dreams and desires. And this is what I'm talking about. I did a video, not a video, but a short a while back that was a focus exercise, putting a sentence at the top of a page that was a declaration of something that you want, and then how it feels once you experience that, and taking the alphabet A to Z and writing an adjective for each one. Because at this moment, there could be the potential that Leo is still a bit in their head, assessing the possibilities. And now this is about faith beyond what you can see with your eyes. And you are being offered opportunity for victory as you trust a deeper knowing on the inside of you than the outside, because Celeste is offering an opportunity for a shift. And that shift feels like it brings in abundance. And the abundance feels like harmonious wealth. Harmonious wealth is not actual money. It's not actual possessions. It is a trust in the flow of life. It's a trust in the flow of resources for me. And Celeste is not rather moving my physical body somewhere, but shifting my thinking body, because my thoughts dominate my experience. My thoughts draw in my experiences, and my thoughts are reflective of my emotional body, of what I believe, how lovable I feel, how smart I feel, how viable my creations feel. And once that is reconciled, I believe the victory is being offered to you, and it's evidenced here in the 3D world. Okay, on to our Virgos. Next week is pivotal, as there is a Virgo full moon, and Saturn on that same day will move into Pisces. Big energy. I'll be doing a separate video, so please be on the lookout for that. All right, Virgo. The cup of love. It's also the cup of peace. There's some sort of overflowing being offered through a connection to spirit, the hand of God, the hand of source energy, and this feeling of, I almost want to say endless flow. Let's look and see where this is coming from, because as we see Saturn enter Pisces, we know that it's going to make a opposition to Virgo. And I want to offer it this way, because Virgo is a natural processor, a natural, very dependable, gets the job done, thinks between, assesses a situation and finds the most expeditious way to make things happen. Now we have your ruling planet having a conversation with Saturn, as your ruling planet will then go into Pisces, and will Saturn. As will Saturn. Now, they'll be making this opposition because I think this might be about what you love versus where you feel duty, obligation, where you feel like, I've put in 25 years in this company and I'm 10 years away from my pension. Is it worth it for me to continue on in that 10 years? Or will that 10 years suck the life out of my health and I won't even be around to spend that money? Because I think this is really about what you love and what brings you peace. The angels, first we have Isaiah. It's time to give birth to new ideas. Then we have Serena, the angel of abundance, telling you that money will flow. Then we have Fiona. Now that you ask God and the angels for help, be open to receiving. And then we have Akasha, the teacher, which makes me think you're being taught something about learning how to receive. We have the water fairy joining Isaiah. We have Serena being joined by the fire fairy. We have Fiona being joined by Merlin, and we have Akasha being joined by the bee card. So one of the challenges of the earth signs is that you're an earth sign. So you relate to the earth as if it is solid, but it is really just a big rock with a bunch of molecules that have come together. And when we pay attention to science, we know that the whole universe is expanding and contracting. Nothing is solid. So the reason I say this is because With Isaiah, this is time to give birth to new ideas and new situations and give more life to your intuitive body, to your emotional body. Are you enslaved to something? Virgo is the sign of the servant, and you could be enslaved to the thought that you have to work hard to make something, or you have to, because that Mercury Saturn conjunction from a human perspective will say you have to work hard. But when we dig deeper, the Pluto squaring the nodes, it's like the truth is Saturn only wants you to work hard at whatever you endeavor. Saturn is not assigning you what you endeavor. So now it's time to start to look at what you love, because Serena is saying that as you are serene, money will come and you will have more optimism about the future. You will feel more connected to a path that brings you joy and love. And this is where I feel like there's going to be a big polarization between those that have had a conscious path, paying attention, and being graceful with themselves as they go up and down the wheel of the human experience, because there's justice and balance and alchemy to be had as you turn over some of your practical thinking and start to think that your connection to spirit is the most practical thing, and then allow for the illumination, because this is really an opportunity to learn about the law of attraction, the law of ebb and flow, the law of, there are 12 divine laws. There's probably many, many more. But the one that's most dominant in the human experience right now is the law of attraction, which is only as good as the law of allowing. And here's an opportunity to feel justice and balance and victory as you are aware of your being energy. And it doesn't have to be perfect. You're allowed to have a wobble. You're allowed to feel trepidation, but are you hanging your hat on that trepidation? Because the awareness of the back and forth, which is mercurial by nature, that's what happens in Gemini. So it will still sort of happen here in Virgo, but this is an opportunity coming up within a week or so to have this culmination of this full moon in Virgo that brings to light something that potentially could bring you to a new chapter of more love and joy for you, self-satisfaction. All right, let's go on to our Libras. The tarot card for Libra. Thank you, because I really need this card, my Libra sun. Money. I need money for my tooth. I need money for everything. It's a very, very big week. This is also tradition. Okay, this is the 10 of Pentacles. There's a certain amount of culmination here. There are things coming into play in the material. We see the parents, the grandparents, the dogs, the children, the beautiful home. So there's a lot of tradition here. There's a lot of family history, very Saturnian in some ways. This could represent Saturn rewarding for all that hard work of staying on course regardless of your results. All right, here we go. Libra, what does the 10 of Pentacles want you to know? You're going to win the lottery. I want to win the lottery. Hey, Scott, I haven't seen you in a while. All right, here we go. 10 of Pentacles, Libra is being joined by Grace and Antoinette. Maya is in the opportunity or the obstacle. Archangel Gabriel is in the angel's advice. And Patience is in the final position. Grace and Antoinette is being joined by the hawk. Maya is being joined by the water fairy. Archangel Gabriel is being joined by the high priestess. And Patience is being joined by the mystery card. So let's see. Essentially, the 10 of Cups, I got excited about the money card. But as I'm looking at the rest of the spread, Libra, I'm thinking to myself, here's Venus, your ruling planet, in the sign that opposes you. It's in your 7th house, and it's having a conversation with Jupiter and Chiron. And this may be a lot about, that 7th house is not just about marriage partners. It's about professional partners. It's about where we have contracts. So there may be the potential that there's something going on for you where you are rethinking some of the things that you're doing. You know, we've got Mercury and Saturn in Aquarius. That rules my World Wide Web, rules my network. That's also your fifth house. So this could be something that has to do creatively, because at this moment, you may not be feeling flush with money, and it's time to have compassion for yourself as you stay the course and you look for the signs and the omens that all is well. This last week, I got a notice from the unemployment office, and they were wanted to interview me, and I haven't had unemployment since, COVID. And then even then I didn't really use it, but I did apply for it in case something happened. Well, I thought this was a fraudulent case, so I didn't give a worry about this phone call. And in fact, they were late calling me the window. And so I didn't have any button on it. Okay. When the phone call actually happened, they were going over my old claim and looking to see if my claim was valid. And the potential for me having to pay money back was sitting on the table. Thank goodness I didn't know this ahead of time, because I want to offer this. The compassion is that I got a really nice woman who did the interview. And in fact, her uncle is an astrologer. So that worked in my favor. But I want to offer this because my initial reaction was to be fear-based. And I now get to have compassion as I seek signs and omens that all of my resources will be taken care of for me. Because here, again, is Maya offering me a more in-depth look at my energetic being. What are my feelings? My feelings are going to dictate my attitude, and my attitude is going to dictate my actions. So as I'm contemplating this, what I realized was during that conversation, I was relaxed. Not only am I a rule follower, so I know I didn't do anything out of alignment. I know I didn't take any extra money. So I was very confident that conversation would go well. And it did, because I feel as if this is a deeper knowing of your intuitive body. And here's that communications card. And it's all about Libra's resources. It's all about the viability that the money will come, the money will be there. And the other thing is this has a historic energy to it. So if for some reason we are looking at the history of your relationships, Venus, Jupiter, and Chiron in your seventh house, having a conversation about the wound, about what you believe, and about your self-worth, then this is about having a little bit more compassion as you start to get signs and omens, to trust your feeling and your gut. And this is digging deep beneath your fear. It's not the first feeling, because the initial knee-jerk might be a human imprint. And the bigger feeling is going to come from an intuitive knowing, a feeling of trust in the universe. Because patience is really not about sitting on an egg. It's about the observation of my energy and the choices that I make. Now, when we look at these partnership signs, inadvertently, sometimes we give up our voice because we want to be cooperative in a situation, or we don't want to confront something that doesn't feel good. This does not feel necessarily outside myself, but maybe there's a history going on here that I'm inadvertently playing to as my wound is being stoked in the house of cooperation, in the house of harmony, in the house of feeling at peace. That's where I'm going with this. Yes, I agree. While everything will pass, the transits to me represent sort of like a landscape. It's like, you go to the desert, you need water, you need shelter from the heat, right? When you go to the snow, you need water too, because it's dehydrating, but this time you need shelter from the cold. These transits are giving us opportunities to walk through a landscape that offers illumination, that empowers us more to be intentional about how we think and how we show up in our lives, that offers opportunities for the universe to validate and confirm that. And in doing so, you are of the highest and greatest service to humanity. All right, Libra. So this is a week of probably observing any old wounds that come up. You know, I was a girl that grew up with a family that said money doesn't grow on trees. If you want to go to college, you better start, figuring out how to mow lawns to pay for it. Every time I scraped a shoe, my dad acted like I killed somebody. So money is a big issue, a big imprint of scarcity in my imprint. But this is an opportunity to rewrite that. So that's what I'm saying for Libra. All right, Scorpio. Here we go. All right. 5 of Swords. Not an easy energy. This is the first word that comes to mind when I see this is a sense of contempt. The front character has been to battle with the other 2 characters. He's disarmed them. But there's also a feeling of not being necessarily validated by these people. So there's a feeling of lack attached to this. There's a feeling of this character. It almost is a little bit of the darker side of Aries for me, meaning there's a bit of a warrior here. And rather than coming to a peaceful solution, he's just managed to sort of plow over his opponent's thoughts. The swords for me, the reason they represent strife and struggle is because they represent our thoughts, our human thoughts. All right, let's see where we're going with this, Scorpio, because Scorpio too is a fixed sign. Your ruling planet is squaring the nodes. This is very much karmic points of transformation. And I don't know, for those of you that haven't been here for a while or that are new, when I see a square, my interpretation is it's like this corner of the house I'm building in my mind. And part of that square is me in an old habitual imprinted way of thinking, patterned reaction, that knee jerk. And then this part of me that's evolving and aware that of this history, but not quite rooted. So there's a tension in trying to purport the person I want to be versus the person I have been, or a version of that to move towards my happiness versus towards what pisses me off. So let's see, because if you're Scorpio with any planets in the early degrees of Scorpio, you're feeling that South Node right now. Okay, we have Shanti, the angel of peace, and this is not a peaceful energy, but this is. Then we have Bethany, self-care. Then we have Athena, asserting yourself in a loving way. And Sonia, that's your team. Shanti is being joined by the Death card. Bethany is being joined by the Serpent. Athena is being joined by the Perception card. And Sonia is being joined by the Love card. In one of my videos recently, because I did a series of videos for y'all on the Saturn and Pluto transits into the new houses, new signs. Somebody mentioned, and I've mentioned this before, but I haven't in a while, one of the old totems that is mostly depicted on the tarot for Scorpio is the eagle. The eagle is a very majestic creature with razor sharp sight and the ability to move in ways that I don't think humans can actually comprehend. Because here, I think what's going on is that this Death card represents a way of thinking, almost understanding that you may have won a battle, but you don't feel necessarily good about how you won the battle or the result of the battle, or the result of a conversation. And I feel as if this is an opportunity for Scorpio to start to release the stinger and start to fly on the wings of the eagle, and allowing the truth and the savoriness of your sign and the depth of your sign to stand forward in a way that is compassionate. Scorpio on an intuitive level can feel the psychology of those around them, and oftentimes without realizing it, they will blurt out something that feels stingy. So here I feel like this is really an opportunity to master what you know. The serpent here represents knowledge. And here is Bethany. And this is sort of one of those places where Scorpio starts to hone their skills, and you get to implement, do I want to be right or do I want to be happy? And oftentimes it's not about, not expressing yourself, but how you express yourself. That is what resonates, because here, this is an opportunity for you to see and know that change your perception into lovingly asserting yourself versus aggressively asserting yourself. When I was younger and I knew my planets, I knew where they were, but I never really, people used to always say, oh, you have Mercury in Scorpio. So you're other people's money. That's what all astrologers focused in on. It took me a long time before I realized it was also represented how I communicate. And when I was younger, I didn't give a rat's what if I hurt somebody's feelings, because they hurt me. So I was willing, with my Aries rising and my Mercury in Scorpio, to sting them, to say things that psychologically I knew would just them. I don't do that anymore because it doesn't serve me, because this is a time, this death card and Shanti are transformation to peace, because now you understand the connection to the angelic realm. You understand that you are the eagle, the integrity of the eagle. And now you're starting to come from a place of love. And I think that this is going to change this experience for you. And I think that's what the South Node has been doing as it's traversed your first house, is giving you an opportunity to be the powerful and savory sign that you are, and then leave some of the more challenging dynamics, because these things don't come up when you're happy. They come up when you're hurt. The deep psychology, the willingness to sort of use those swords against your enemies doesn't come up when you're happy. It comes up when you feel slighted. So this is an opportunity for you to be the harborer of inner peace by trusting a bigger picture, and then allowing yourself to have the expression, but in a way that can be heard by others. That was one of the difficult things when I first started doing my work, was when people would come to me and I felt like I was going to tell them something they thought was distasteful. And as I started to trust, I remember there was one person who, as I was doing a reading, the word badger kept coming up into my head, that this person badgered their partner. And I never used the word badger, and I didn't want to use it in that reading because it sounded so harsh. And then I finally surrendered to spirit, and I used the word, and I said it very lovingly. I want to say to you, my dear, that I'm hearing this word in my mind, and it won't go away. And when I expressed it, that person confirmed that their partner used that word all the time. So this was giving them a relatability rather than making them feel like I was judging them. And I think that's something that Scorpio can hone now, as you stand in a more majestic eagle energy versus maybe the scorpion a little bit. All right, let's go into our Sagittariuses. We have the Ace of Pentacles. Let's see what we're doing here with that, because it's the infusion of something in the material. But what is that going to be for our Sagittariuses? Rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Well, that South Node is coming up on you, my dear. Sending lots of love to you. Is it Saori Tarot? Because it's, that South Node is also an opportunity to be so intuitive there. Like you could hone you could probably start channeling the dead if you don't already. Okay. For our Sagittariuses, the Ace of Pentacles is being joined by Archangel Uriel. Isaiah is in the opportunity or the obstacle. Chantal is in the angel's advice. And Ray is in the final position. Sagittarius, your ruling planet is having a conversation with Venus and Chiron, and it's in a trine aspect to your rising sign. And this is an opportunity to, I think, maybe we'll see, because Archangel Uriel talks a lot about frustration. And here we go. There's the cat. There's 9 lives. Isaiah's being joined by the love card. Chantal's being joined by the birth and the rebirth card. And the novice is joining Ray. I'm so glad to hear that. I want to say it right. Sayori, you should don't be scared. Don't be scared, but take notes. Take notes. It'll help. Okay. Sagittarius. If for some reason you are frustrated, if you've been trying to move your story forward, if you've been trying to birth something in the material world, like a new job or some new money, try to remain a little bit faithful. Let your planet of faith see you through, because there's frustration. And when I saw the cat, I felt like there's something new coming. We see Isaiah representing something new. We see the novice representing something new. And inadvertently, you may be wanting to find something that feels secure so that you're contributing or you have resources. And at the same time, I feel like while the cat represents independence and healthy boundaries, this is also an opportunity for new life coming to you when you let the frustration settle down. Because Isaiah is encouraging you to feel supported as you implement things that you love. And I want to offer this because I love doing this work. And I never thought in a million years I could make a living at it. And right now, in my 9th year of doing it, I've never felt more on a roller coaster ride. But at the same time, I say to myself all the time, if, I'm meant to do this work, and part of this roller coaster ride is that work, believing beyond what I can see in the material, trusting that if I love something, I will be able to give life to it, because that's what's happening for you, Sagittarius. This love is not about relationship. It's about a rebirth of what you love, so that you spend time experiencing bounty through how you love to express yourself, because it's time to give birth to new things. This is skill without practice. This is an unstable new beginning, but the best way to anchor in that unstable new beginning is to stay connected to spirit, to make a practice every day. Even if you can't quiet your mind, you can sit and you can invite spirit in to anchor in your strength, to have you come from your heart and to speak from your heart, so that you can start to feel these roots being born. The idea that Jupiter is going through Aries feels as if that's about being independent, about asserting myself to myself, what's important to myself. And as it moves into Taurus, that's about moving it and building it into the earth and making bounty from it. So while technically, there's not a strong conversation between the 9th house and the 2nd house, it's also an opportunity to believe in myself beyond where I have initially. I guess the way I want to put it is to believe in things that initially you thought were impossible, they will become possible. That's the way I want to put it. Hey, Susie, how are you? So good you're here. I've been doing a lot of videos. I'm glad you're liking them. We are inviting in a whole new bunch of people into the tribe. That's what I've been I don't want to say working, because that feels a little too rough. That's what I've been intending and inviting in. Okay, let's go on to our Capricorns. I love me my Capricorns. I'm a Capricorn lover. Love me my goats. This is what I've been feeling for Capricorn for the longest time, is this cup of love. Of all the cards in the tarot, this 6 of Cups has to be one of the most yummy. There is bounty in every one of the cups. This boy is offering the sweet smell of the perfume to this girl. And you see in the background this adult walking away. And it's funny because the adult sort of has this gray, purpley tunic on. And what I think is this is the innocence of a child believing in magic and letting the adult practicality and reality move a little bit out this way as I start to intend something else. So let's say this. I believe that Pluto at 28, 29 degrees, it's right now, I think it's still at 28 degrees before it moves to the 29th degree. I believe that this will be the mastery. 29th degree reduces down to an 11. The 28th degree reduces down to an 11. Opportunity to really look at how you think and then to take the strength of your ability to build. And now you do it from the things that make your cup feel full. And then Capricorn becomes a leader like never before. Because the human structure that we refer to as leaders now is being rewritten. And when Pluto moves into Aquarius, we're going to have there will be a real strong, if we think that Saturn in Pisces is unemotional, wait till Pluto moves into Aquarius. It'll be so forward thinking and so willing to dig deep into the psychology of holding us back that that's where the real innovation will be seen, is that people will start to measure themselves differently. And Capricorn has been working on this the whole time Pluto's been transiting your first house, is to remove the fear-based, depressing, enduring energy of doing something you don't like because you've been assigned it, or you felt like it would bring you the wealth that you needed in the material world. And now to allow that if you love it, if it brings you joy and sweet smells and fills your cup, it will absolutely appear in the material. Our first angel is Yvonne, the angel of vulnerability. The second is Shanti, the angel of peace. The third is Chantal, the angel of love. And then we have Victory. Oh, I love it. Okay, Yvonne is being joined by the water fairy. Shanti is being joined by the horse. Chantal is being joined by the frog. And Omega is being joined by the Lady of the Lake. I really feel excited for my Capricorns here because I want to offer it this way. You know, the Capricorn energy and Saturn in and of itself is rarely talked about in the way of the reward. It's always like the footnote at the end of a discussion. When you work hard, Saturn will reward you. And that just like literally throws people into this feeling of, I've got to hit the pavement. I've got to get up every day and do something and push. That is absolutely counterintuitive to the truth. This indicates a huge trust. This is a huge ability to believe in magic in this card. And now, Capricorn, this is where you're becoming vulnerable to your own emotional body. You're actually starting to say, if I believe it, I bet you I can build it. And this is where Capricorn is fabulous, because I believe the horse is representing new ideologies. It's new philosophies of life that are bringing you inner peace in a way that is removing the duty to others and assigning that duty to yourself to do what you love. And it's letting you feel a sense of peace because you love building. But boy, when you're building something for somebody else and you're not getting any bounty for it, that ain't no fun. Well, that is not any fun, because ain't no fun is a double negative, which is a positive, because there's victory here, victory. And this is kind of Saturnian. Keep up the good work of believing in yourself, and believing yourself in a way that's fighting between what has been expected of you and what it is you want for yourself. Because within the Lady of the Lake's energy, she holds the sword of Excalibur effortlessly in the midst of this storm. So I want to offer it in the way that Capricorn, now, as Pluto has transformed you and ripped away all the places where you have been overly obligatory to another energy, or you've been so traumatized by fear and feeling depressed and feeling limited, that now it's time to take that limit and make yourself limitless through liberation. And I think this is why your ruling planet, when it moves into Pisces, is going to really put a big neon sign that says, is it sustainable, or are you building something on a platform that serves other people and it's not sustainable for you? Because that's where the Lady of the Lake is saying, take care of you, and there is victory to be had. But you'll have to be vulnerable to your own feelings that you could potentially be disappointing others. But as you amass, you can always take care of others. All right, let's go on to our final sign, Aquarius. Aquarius, when Pluto moves into your first house, there's going to be a lot of transformation and urge for freedom from that which has held you back. And I think some of that holding you back could be anxiety. It could be that feeling of, am I too out there? Am I too? I think that about myself sometimes. My Chiron is in Aquarius, and I had Saturn on my Chiron in all 2022. Not fun. Not fun, but I did triumph. All right, Aquarius. The Tower. This is Uranus to me in the tarot deck. Some people call it Mars, not me. I think it's Uranus. These guys were blown out of their tower unexpectedly as lightning struck. And whatever false sense of entitlement or whatever crown is been knocked off. And it doesn't mean it's their crown. It could be who they've been enslaved to. So let's see where this is going. Because those early born Aquarians will feel, so this is late born Capricorns, so 28, 29 degrees, and Aquarius 0 degrees to 1 to 2 degrees, just to give it a tight conjunction. You will feel Pluto moving into this house. And, when I've had Pluto squaring my sun, my ascendant, and my Mars for quite some time. It's off my ascendant right now. It's off my sun. But this was not about me dying, but it was about the death of anything holding me back and me looking at a deep psychological imprint. So as Pluto moves into this energy in March, this is an opportunity to be liberated, to have epiphanies, to have lightning strike in a way that offers you an opportunity to move towards something greater than what you've experienced. Isaiah saying it's time to give birth to new ideas. Then patience is here. Then we have Archangel Gabriel, and then we have Layla. Welcome, Nikki Lana Hensel McGill. I think. Yeah, there we go. Oh, I don't know about the McGill part. Okay, here we go. Isaiah is being joined by the Lady of the Lake. Patience is being joined by the Disruption card. Archangel Gabriel is being joined by the Trust card. And Layla's being joined by the Queen. All right. So the first thing I want to say is any of my Aquarians that want to bring in a little wee one, if you're of those childbearing years, just relax a little bit and have fun in your relations because the probability is there. But for those of us that are not and are looking for something else, I want to offer this. I feel an evolution coming. When I started my work, I very much focused in on the connection to the angelic realm and to helping people understand the divine laws of the universe. And then part of my work evolved into anchoring more into the teachings of Abraham as they resonated with me. And then I found my love of astrology was engaged and reignited. And I'm now feel as if I use the platform of astrology and the teachings of Abraham to braid together a rope so that you can feel a lifeline to your dreams. And Aquarius, this is exactly what I'm talking about right now, your own personal evolution, your own allowing yourself to continue to go new places, to seek new ground, to allow the part of you that may feel a sense of anxiety to be like an alert from your interior knowing, saying, whoa, wait, look again. Don't focus on feeling exiled or feeling isolated or feeling outcast, because now is a time for you to have courage to be yourself, because the universe and this world, the earth plane itself, is going to respond so much more to your authentic expression than it does anything else, because it's time to give birth to new ideas and to trust again your own personal truth, because here we have the patience card and the disruption card. And I feel like the patience card always talks about observing yourself, observing your own behaviors, your own tendencies, how how you roll. And I think that part of this observation is that when a disruption shows up, the tower, there is an alert for you to dig deeper into your self-communication. And are you willing to allow yourself the expansion and the hopes and the dreams and the material benefit that your natural 11th house offers? Because Archangel Gabriel says you have an important life work in communications. Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. So there's really some genius and brilliance here as you trust your own perception and voice, and you allow your own ideas to birth a new sense of self. Because this is where I want to say, this looks challenging, the tarot right here. I mean, the tower right here. But when I was younger and I was reading the tarot for all my friends that were of years when they could get married, every one of them ended up getting a boyfriend. And it changed their life. And lots of them moved away. And I was always single. Because here, Layla is talking about your intentions. And then are you willing to receive? The Queen is about a receiving energy. It's also a fertile energy, which is why I think many of you who want to have a child may see, as we get further into 2023, we may see you starting to conceive children, because your children want to be born with Pluto in Aquarius next year, because it will offer so much liberation and so much I mean, it's going to be interesting in the beginning. It's not going to be easy because the old structures will still, fight for life, but they'll be transformed. So I really think that this is an opportunity. If for some reason Aquarius feels a sense of anxiety or a sense of unknowing or unsureness, dig deeper into, am I pursuing something that truly resonates with my heart and with what I love and how I want to show up in the world? Okay, that's it for me for this week. Stephen, have a lovely birthday week. I hope all your birthday wishes come true. Everybody else having a birthday this week, happy birthday. And I'll be back next week at 11 a.m. Pacific time, where we'll do this all over again. We'll look at the transits. They're going to get even more intense next week. We're going to be feeling it. And as we're aware of that, we can transform the intensity to excitement. All right, everybody, please like, please subscribe, please share, build this channel up so we can all support each other and become rich in many, many avenues, rich in love, rich in bounty, rich in enjoyment, rich in happiness. Peace